Everyone in Insulini knew about Mama Dlozi. Old woman. Silent as stone. Blind in one eye that turned white like milk. Her yard was cursed, they said. No grass grew there, just cracked earth and dust. Even the bravest dogs would cross the street rather than walk past her gate. People whispered stories. How she lived with Izitanzi, shadows of the dead. How her heart was built over the bones of forgotten ancestors. How the ground beneath her feet held secrets darker than the new moon. Children hurried past her place, clutching their mother's hands. If you enter that yard, the elders warned, you might not return the same. But Sibusiso. He laughed at all of it. 17 years old and full of himself. He had a smartphone, 2,000 followers, and no respect for old stories. It's 2025, he would say, rolling his eyes. Ghosts aren't real. Magic isn't real. These old people just want to scare us. His friends nodded, but they still avoided Mama Dlozi's street after dark. Something about that place made their skin crawl, made their hearts beat faster. But not Sibusiso. He was too modern for such foolishness. That Tuesday evening, Sibusiso sat with his friends near the school gates. Tobo, Menla, and Sazoni, his crew since childhood. They were scrolling through TikTok, watching dance videos, dreaming of going viral. Look at this guy, Sibusiso said, pointing at his phone. Dancing in graveyards. Getting millions of views. Easy money. Tobo shifted uncomfortably. That's disrespectful, Booty. Disrespectful to who? Dead people. Sibusiso laughed. They can't hurt you. They're dead. Sazoni looked nervous. My gogo says the ancestors are always watching. Your gogo also believes in Tokolosh, Sibusiso mocked. When last did you see a Tokolosh? These are just stories to keep us afraid. He stood up, puffing out his chest. I'll prove it. Tonight, I'm going to dance in Mama Dlozi's yard. Film it. Post it. Watch me go viral. His friends exchanged worried glances. Hey, Sibs, Tobo whispered. That's too dangerous. What if something happens? What's going to happen? An old blind woman is going to curse me. Sibusiso grinned. Please, man. It's 2025, not 1825. But deep down, even he felt a flutter of fear. As the sun set behind the hills, Sibusiso prepared for his viral moment. He charged his phone, picked his best playlist, grabbed his portable speaker. Tonight, he would become famous. His mother was visiting his aunt, his father working night shift. Perfect timing. No one to stop him. He walked through the township streets, music pumping through his earbuds. Other teenagers were heading home, but Sibusiso walked toward the forbidden yard. Toward his destiny. Mama Dlozi's house sat at the end of a dirt road, separated from the other homes. The gate was old metal, rusted and bent. Beyond it, a small hut crouched in the darkness like a sleeping animal. Sibusiso set up his phone camera, angled it perfectly. He would record everything, edit it tomorrow, become famous by weekend. What's up, fam? He said to the camera. Your boy Sibusiso here, about to do something crazy. I'm going to dance in the witch's yard. The place everyone's afraid of. About to prove that all these stories are just nonsense. He climbed over the gate, landed on the cursed soil. The ground felt strange under his feet, too hard, too cold. But he ignored the feeling. Sibusiso turned on his speaker, music blasting into the night. The beats echoed off the empty houses, off the hills, off the silence. He started dancing, moving to the rhythm, showing off for his future audience. The moves were perfect. His footwork clean. This video would definitely go viral. But as he danced, the air began to change. The wind stopped blowing. The insects stopped chirping. Even his music seemed to grow distant, muffled. Kwathi Cwaca. Then it was silent. A deep, unnatural silence that made his ears ring. Sibusiso kept dancing, but his confidence was fading. Something felt wrong. The darkness seemed thicker now, pressing against him from all sides. Then he heard it. A voice like dry leaves scraping against stone. Sibusiso. He froze mid-step. His name, spoken by someone who shouldn't know it. Someone he couldn't see. Ngebuyazi ukuthi afi. Do you know where you are? The voice came from everywhere and nowhere. From the ground beneath his feet, from the air around his head. Sibusiso's heart began to pound. This wasn't part of the plan. Who's there? He called out, trying to sound brave. But his voice cracked like a little boy's. Only silence answered. Sibusiso's speaker stuttered, then died completely. The sudden quiet was deafening. He fumbled with his phone, but the screen had gone black. No camera, no music, no light. Just darkness and that terrible silence. The hut door creaked open slowly, but no one came out. Just a rectangle of deeper blackness, like a mouth opening to swallow him whole. Tobo, he called out, hoping his friends were pranking him. Guys, you got me. Very funny. No answer. No laughter. No relief. Then he heard it again. A sound that made his blood freeze. A low laugh that wasn't human. It bubbled up from beneath the ground, from the bones buried in the cursed soil. Sibusiso tried to run, but his feet wouldn't obey. They started moving on their own, dancing to a rhythm he couldn't hear. His legs jerked and twisted, his arms flailed. Kwathi Cwaca, he cried. I can't stop. But his body didn't listen. Something else was controlling him now. Something angry. Something that had been waiting a very long time. From the darkness of the hut doorway, two eyes appeared. White eyes. Blind eyes. Watching eyes. Mama Dlozi stepped into the moonlight, her walking stick tapping against the hard earth. Ubuna Yukuzina, Sibusiso, she said softly. You wanted to dance, Sibusiso. So dance. Until your bones remember who they belong to. Sibusiso's feet bled inside his expensive sneakers, but he couldn't stop dancing. His knees shook, his breath came in ragged gasps, but still his body moved to that invisible rhythm. The yard around him began to change. The ground cracked open with sounds like breaking bones. From the splits in the earth, white shapes pushed through, skulls, rib cages, finger bones clicking together. Skeletons. Hundreds of them. Rising from their forgotten graves. And they were dancing with him. Their empty eye sockets locked onto his terrified face. Their jaws opened in silent laughter. Their bones clicked and rattled as they moved, keeping perfect time to the drums that only the dead could hear. Njesai's. Njesai's. Sibusiso screamed for help. But who would hear him? Who would brave Mama Dlozi's cursed yard to save a foolish boy? His shadow stretched across the ground, but it wasn't moving with his body anymore. It danced its own dance, twisted and wrong, no longer connected to the boy who cast it. Mama Dlozi watched from her doorway, chanting in the old language. Amadlozi echo akolwa. Nemlen Juzefanda in Lenefo. Your ancestors do not forget. Today you will learn respect. The drums in the earth beat faster, and Sibusiso's bleeding feet tried to match their pace. Outside the yard, Tobo, Mendla, and Sazoni stood frozen at the gate. They had come to watch, maybe to laugh, but now they could only stay in horror. Sibs. Tobo shouted. Run. Get out of there. But Sibusiso couldn't run. His body belonged to the ancestors now, and they were teaching him lessons his generation had forgotten. The skeletons danced in perfect circles around him, their bones gleaming in the moonlight. Some were the remains of old clothes, military uniforms from wars long past, traditional dress from ceremonies he'd never respected. These were his people. His bloodline. His history. And he had mocked them for TikTok views. We have to help him, Sazoni whispered, but none of them moved toward the gate. Fear kept them rooted to the spot. Mama Dlozi's voice rose above the supernatural drums. Let the child learn. Let him understand what he has forgotten. Sibusiso's phone lay broken in the dust, its screen shattered like his pride. The video that was supposed to make him famous would never be posted. Instead, he was learning a different kind of lesson about going viral. The ancestors had their own social media, their own way of spreading messages. And their reach was deeper than any internet connection. As dawn approached, Sibusiso finally collapsed to his knees, gasping for air. His designer clothes were torn and dirty, his expensive sneakers ruined. But the worst part was watching his shadow continue to dance without him. It leaped and spun across the ground, no longer attached to his body. A shadow with its own will, its own purpose. Mama Dlozi walked toward him, her blind eye gleaming like a star. The skeletons had returned to their rest, sinking back into the hungry earth. Anjile Kaisel, she said. You laughed at me. You mocked the spirits. You walked where the dead sleep. Tears mixed with dust on Sibusiso's face. Njai Xolisa, he sobbed. I am sorry. I didn't know. I just wanted views. I wanted to be famous. She pointed to a broken clay doll near his feet, something he had stepped on without thinking. That belonged to your great-grandmother, Mama Dlozi said. Mon Lovu. Her spirit has been protecting you your whole life. Now you belong to her. Sibusiso stared at the broken pieces. His great-grandmother, dead before he was born. The woman his mother spoke of with such love and respect. Njisala, he whispered. Please. What must I do? Mama Dlozi's white eyes seemed to see straight through him. Give something of value. Or join your shadow forever in the dance of the dead. Sibusiso looked at his broken phone, then at his shadow still dancing mockingly across the cursed ground. He understood now. Fame wasn't free. Respect couldn't be faked. Some prices were higher than others. With shaking hands, he crawled to the center of the yard where his great-grandmother's clay doll lay in pieces. Each fragment seemed to pulse with all power, all pain. Gogo, he whispered to the broken clay, Njai Xolisa. I am sorry. I forgot who I was. I forgot where I came from. He picked up the largest piece of his phone and smashed it completely against a rock. The screen exploded into 1,000 fragments, reflecting the morning sun like stars. His followers, his videos, his dreams of internet fame all destroyed. But as the phone died, his shadow began to slow its manic dance. Step by step, it returned to him, matching his movements once again. Hemba, Mama Dlozi commanded. Go. Angabai Futhi. Never return to this place with disrespect in your heart. Sibusiso stood slowly, his legs barely supporting him. Everything hurt, his feet, his pride, his understanding of the world. His friends waited at the gate, their faces pale with shock. They helped him over the fence, away from the cursed yard. None of them spoke during the long walk home. For 3 days, Sibusiso stayed in his room. Curtains drawn, door locked, refusing food and visitors. His mother knocked constantly, worried sick. Sibusiso. Kwenzekini, she called through the door. What happened? But how could he explain? The dancing bones, the ancestors' anger, the shadow that had abandoned him. Who would believe such a story in 2025? Tobo came by every afternoon, begging to talk. Bro, we saw everything. We're here for you. But Sibusiso couldn't face them. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw the skeletons dancing. Heard the drums of the dead. Felt his great-grandmother's disappointment pressing down on him like a heavy blanket. On the 4th day, his mother forced the door open. She found him staring at his reflection in the window, but the boy looking back was a stranger. His eyes held knowledge now. Terrible knowledge. His hands still trembled from memories his body couldn't forget. Mama, he whispered, Njizin Nemadlozi. I danced with the ancestors. She gasped, recognizing something in his voice. Her own grandmother had spoken of such things. Of children who forgot their place in the world. Njitshil Konk, she said, sitting beside him. Tell me everything, and slowly, painfully, he did. What Sibusiso didn't know was that Tobo had filmed everything from outside the gate. Shaky footage, distant audio, but clear enough to see the impossible. The dancing bones. The shadow moving alone. Sibusiso's screams echoing across the cursed yard. Tobo stared at the video on his phone, finger hovering over the delete button. Should he post it? Prove what they'd witnessed. Or protect his friend's secret? His other friends pressured him daily. Come on, man, Mandla insisted. That footage could get millions of views. We could all be famous. Sibs wanted to go viral, right? Sazani added. This would definitely do it. But Tobo remembered Sibusiso's face that night. The pure terror. The way something had broken inside his friend, something that might never heal. Still, the video burned on his phone like a curse. Everyone at school whispered about that night. Kwenzik Ntoni. What really happened? Why won't Sibusiso talk? The pressure mounted. The curiosity grew. And Tobo, just 16 years old himself, made a choice he would regret forever. At midnight on Friday, he posted the video. Titled, Real Ghost Dance, This Actually Happened. Within minutes, the views started climbing. By morning, the whole world would know Sibusiso's secret. Sibusiso woke to his phone buzzing with notifications. Messages, tags, shares, comments. His old phone was broken, but his mother had given him hers temporarily. He opened the first notification and felt his heart stop. There he was, dancing with skeletons. His shadow moving independently. His screams echoing through the night. 2 million views and climbing. The comments were brutal. Fake. CGI trash. Loku yikoloya okwenjempela, that's real witchcraft. Someone called the police. But others recognized the location. Local people who knew the stories. That's Mama Dlozi's yard. Hey, Lelo Mfana was lucky to survive. Dlozi Aikasuka, the ancestors are angry. Sibusiso wanted to disappear into the earth. He was famous now, but not how he'd dreamed. Famous for being cursed. Famous for being broken by forces he'd mocked. His mother found him crying over the phone. They're sharing it everywhere, Mama. Every's laughing at me. She held him like he was 5 years old again. Let them laugh. You learn something they haven't. That's what matters. But the damage was done. The video was everywhere, and with it came the attention Sibusiso had never wanted. The viral video attracted investigators from around the world. YouTube ghost hunters flew in from Johannesburg and Cape Town. Paranormal SA wanted exclusive interviews. News 24 called for statements. But the biggest name was Chad Wilson, a famous debunker with 3 million subscribers. He specialized in exposing fake ghost videos and supernatural hoaxes. I'll prove this is all special effects and clever editing, Chad declared in his announcement video. Time to expose the South African scam. He arrived with a full crew, cameras, EMF readers, thermal imaging equipment. His live investigation was scheduled for Friday night, broadcast to his millions of followers worldwide. Ladies and gentlemen, Chad said to his camera outside Mama Dlozi's gate, we're here to debunk the infamous witch yard dance video. As you can see, it's just an old woman's property. Nothing supernatural here. 50,000 people watched the live stream as Chad climbed the fence, his equipment beeping and clicking. Completely normal readings, he reported. No electromagnetic anomalies. No temperature fluctuations. This place is as ordinary as any other. He set up his gear in the center of the yard, exactly where Sibusiso had danced. For an hour, nothing happened. Chad smirked at his camera. See? Complete nonsense. Time to expose this hoax once and for all. Then the drum started. Chad's live stream exploded with activity as the supernatural began. His equipment went haywire. Cameras showed impossible angles. The audio picked up voices speaking languages he'd never heard. Folks, we're experiencing some technical difficulties, Chad laughed nervously, but his voice was shaking. The live chat erupted. Behind you. Bones in the ground. Get out now. Chad spun around, seeing nothing but darkness. But his feet began to move. Slowly at first, then faster. What the hell, he gasped in English, then tried his broken Zulu, Yini Lina. What is this? His legs danced against his will, his expensive equipment falling to the cursed ground. The viewer count skyrocketed, 200,000, 400,000, 800,000 people watching in real time. People shared the stream frantically across every platform. Hashtag #WitchYardLive began trending worldwide. Chad's terrified face went viral instantly as he screamed, Njesiza. Help me. But there was no help coming. Only the ancestors, demanding respect from another foolish outsider. By dawn, Chad was found collapsed outside the gate, his team calling ambulances and lawyers. The footage was everywhere, but Chad never spoke about that night again. He deleted his channel and moved back to England. The viral videos brought Eldam Becky to Insulini, a respected Sangoma from the Drakensberg Mountains, known throughout KwaZulu-Natal for his wisdom and power. He watched both videos with grave eyes, understanding what others couldn't. Loko okokwazi ukobika, he told the gathered community. This cannot continue. The ancestors are disturbed. More people will be hurt if we don't act. He visited Sibusiso's home, finding the boy still hiding from the world's attention. Mfana, you have used Umoya Omubai, Elder Mbeki said gently. Young man, you have awakened something dangerous. The spirits are angry, but they're also trying to teach. Sibusiso said quietly, ashamed. Benjingozi, Boba. I just wanted likes and followers. The spirits don't understand likes, Elder Mbeki replied. They understand inlenefo, respect. And you gave them none. He explained that Mama Dlozi's yard was sacred ground. Warriors, healers, and protectors had been buried there for generations. Every step you took was on their graves, he said. But the videos have made it worse. Millions of eyes watching, mocking, disbelieving. Njinjenzeni. What can I do? Sibusiso asked. There is a way to fix this. But you must be brave, and the whole community must help. Elder Mbeki called a community meeting at the school hall. Hundreds of people came, believers and skeptics, young and old, everyone curious about the viral videos that had put my fall too. One by one, others stood. People who had shared the videos, laughed at them, used them for entertainment. Even some who had mocked the old ways their entire lives. Kusosanjesalalelo, Siaku Mama Dlozi, Elder Mbeki said. Tomorrow at sunset, we go to Mama Dlozi. But we go properly. With respect. With offerings. He turned to Sibusiso with serious eyes. You must lead the ceremony. You started this, so you must help finish it. Sibusiso's hands trembled, but he nodded. Njizikwenza. I'll do it. The next evening, 50 people walked solemnly to Mama Dlozi's gate. They carried white candles, burning impefo, African sage, and traditional beer for the ancestors. Elder Mbeki led the procession, his animal skin cloak marking him as a true spiritual leader. Sibusiso walked directly behind him, heart pounding with every step. Dot at the curse gate, they stopped and waited. Elder Mbeki called out in perfect Zulu, Medlozi, Sizanezan Lizio is at the Bikail. Ancestors, we come with humble hearts. We ask permission to enter your sacred resting place. The evening air went completely still. Not even the leaves rustled. Then Mama Dlozi appeared at her hut door, dressed in full traditional regalia. Beads and animal skins, the clothes of a powerful Sangoma. Her blind eye caught the candlelight like a white flame. She studied the crowd in silence, seeming to weigh their intentions, their sincerity, their souls. Finally, after what felt like hours, she nodded slowly. Wozani, she said. Come. But remember where you walk. Every step is on sacred ground. The gate creaked open like the mouth of another world. One by one, they entered the yard where everything had begun. Sibusiso's feet touched the cursed soil again, but this time felt different. The anger was still there, but so was something else. Elder Mbeki poured traditional beer onto the thirsty ground while the community formed a respectful circle around the yard. Sayabonga, Emadlozi, he chanted. We thank you, ancestors. We honor your memory and ask for your forgiveness. He lit the impefo, and sweet smoke rose into the twilight sky, carrying their prayers to the spirit world. Sibusiso stood in the center of the circle, exactly where he had danced before. But now he felt the weight of hundreds of eyes, both living and dead. Manj, Elder Mbeki said gently, you must dance again. But properly this time. With inlenefo. Now. With respect. Sibusiso closed his eyes and began to move. Not the wild, attention-seeking dancing he'd done before, but the slow, traditional steps his grandmother had tried to teach him years ago. The dance of greeting ancestors. The movements of reverence and connection. The community joined in with soft singing and clapping. The Koza Amadlozi. Sayabonga Kokalu. We greet the ancestors. We thank you greatly. The bones beneath the ground seemed to settle peacefully. Sibusiso felt their approval washing over him like warm water. His shadow moved with him now, properly connected, no longer fighting against him. Mama Dlozi watched from her doorway, nodding slowly. Sekufola, she murmured. Now there is healing. As the ceremony continued, Mama Dlozi began to speak, her voice carrying easily across the silent yard. Lelo mfana weza lofa efuna ukuduma, she said. This boy came here seeking fame. Instead, he found truth. She walked slowly towards Sibusiso, her walking stick tapping against the hard ground. Ugogo wako omkulu, mon lovu, ulele lofa. She rests here. She was my teacher, my dear friend. Sibusiso's eyes widened in shock. His great-grandmother was buried in this sacred place. Weyengam goma omkulu, Mama Dlozi continued. She was a great healer. A bridge between the world of the living and the world of the spirits. You carry her gift in your blood. The community murmured in amazement. They had known Mon Lovu, remembered her wisdom and power. Mama Dlozi reached into her clothes and pulled out a small clay vessel, ancient and worn smooth by countless hands. Her imbiza, she said, offering it to Sibusiso. Her medicine bowl. She wants you to have it. She wants you to understand who you really are. Sibusiso took the vessel with trembling fingers. The moment it touched his skin, energy pulsed through the clay like electricity. Memories flooded his mind, his great-grandmother's gentle hands, her healing songs, her deep wisdom. The videos brought millions of people to witness this moment, Mama Dlozi said. The ancestors planned it all. They wanted the world to remember what we've forgotten. Over the following weeks, Sibusiso's world transformed completely. The clay vessel never left his side, and with it came dreams and visions he couldn't ignore. He dreamed of healing herbs growing in hidden places. Ancient medicines his great-grandmother had used. Traditional remedies that could help people in ways modern doctors couldn't understand. His mother noticed the change first. Usagukyle, she said, watching him study the medicinal plants in their small garden. You're different. Like Gogo used to be. Elder Mbeki became his teacher, recognizing the awakening spiritual gift. Ugogo wako wenamandla amekalu, he explained. Your grandmother had great power. That power lives in your blood, waiting to be awakened. The viral videos took on new meaning as people began to understand what they had witnessed. The comments shifted. Lisi Yelefaletu, this is our heritage. We must respect our ancestors. Traditional healing is real. Documentary makers arrived to tell the deeper story. Academic researchers wrote papers about indigenous African spirituality. The footage that had made Sibusiso famous for all the wrong reasons now sparked global conversations about cultural wisdom and ancestral knowledge. But Sibusiso faced a difficult choice: use his unexpected fame to build a following, or walk the quiet path of healing that his great-grandmother had chosen. The ancestors had given him a platform. Now he had to decide what to do with it. Sibusiso decided to honor both paths. He created a new YouTube channel called Ubuntu Healing, but instead of dancing for likes, he shared knowledge. Traditional medicine. Respect for ancestors. The wisdom his great-grandmother had carried. His first video was titled, Why I Danced with the Dead, the Real Story. He told everything. The disrespect that led to his curse. The supernatural consequences of his actions. The learning and healing that followed. This video went viral for completely different reasons. People shared it seriously, respectfully. Lelo mfana afand in Lenefo, this young man learned respect. Our traditional knowledge is important. Emadlozi Batu Bayafula, our ancestors are alive. Universities invited him to speak about indigenous healing practices. Medical schools wanted to understand traditional approaches to wellness. Anthropologists studied his transformation from viral sensation to cultural bridge builder. But most importantly, young people across Africa began to listen. Kids who had mocked their grandparents' beliefs, who had thought traditional ways were backward and embarrassing. They started asking questions. Njifuna ukofanda yulimi lwami, I want to learn my language. Tell me about my ancestors. How can I connect with my roots? Sibusiso had become what he never expected, a teacher, helping his generation rediscover what they had almost lost. 1 year after the curse dance, Sibusiso stood in Mama Dlozi's yard again. But now it was transformed, no longer a place of fear, but a center of learning and healing. People came from across South Africa seeking traditional medicine and spiritual guidance. Sibusiso, now trained in the old ways, helped bridge the gap between ancient wisdom and modern understanding. He wore white robes and carried medicinal herbs. The clay vessel hung around his neck, warm with ancestral power. His hands had learned to heal instead of just seeking attention. Mama Dlozi, now recognized as a national treasure, smiled more often these days. Mama Dlozi and Kyle, she told Sibusiso. The ancestors are satisfied.